Since the beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the number of cyber attacks on European countries has skyrocketed, from stealing data and disrupting malware that blocks access to computer files to creating deepfake videos and audio recordings. The EU cybersecurity agency claims that Russian agents first carry out test attacks in Ukraine's informational space and then use them against EU countries.
This is part of the aggressive war Russia is waging physically in Ukraine, but also digitally across Europe. The number of hacktivist attacks against European infrastructure attackers, whose primary goals is to disrupt systems, doubled from the fourth quarter of 2023 to the first quarter of 2024. That's a pretty significant increase. Johan Lepassar, head of the European Cybersecurity Agency, in an interview with the AP.
Russian intelligence services not only commit sabotage in cyberspace, but also physically damage the critical infrastructure of European countries. Medusa publication, with reference to the Wall Street Journal, cites the example of damage to the Balticconnector underwater Estonian-Finnish gas pipeline in the autumn of 2023. At that time, a vessel registered in Hong Kong with a Russian crew crossed the gas pipeline right at the time of the accident, and it was accompanied by a nuclear-powered container ship. Another example is the disruption of railway traffic in northern Germany in October 2022. Berlin said that 2 cables were broken. German law enforcement officials suspect that the roots of the sabotage are likely to lead to Russia. The Wall Street Journal says that Russian security services often look for perpetrators on social networks or in chat rooms of popular online games. They may not realize that they are acting in Moscow's interests.
Some officials interviewed by the Wall Street Journal believe that one of the Moscow's goals is launching such attacks that cause infrastructure failures is to spread fear and mistrust. They believe it is more reasonable to keep quiet about suspicions than to make accusations. However, some countries did start issuing public warnings. NATO also issued a strong statement accusing Russia of intensifying sabotage campaigns as well as disinformation campaigns and other hybrid operations. From Medusa publication.
The Czech government said it is increasingly recording the movement of, quote, post-Soviet criminal structures to Europe. There they're making contact with local criminal groups and organizing criminal networks. The main goal is to demoralize society, spread pro-Russian narratives, put pressure on opposition members who have fled Russia, and sometimes organize attacks and sabotage.
The Czech authorities have also noticed a growing trend across Europe. Local residents and criminal networks are becoming more involved in various activities. These include gathering information, identifying targets, putting pressure on specific individuals. The method of recruitment for these activities is likened to tactics used by Islamist radicals, with NCOZ noting that electronic money transfer is the financing of such operations. From Euroactiv, with reference to the Czech National Center for Combating Organized Crime.
The situation on the Polish-Belarusian border also remains tense. In the spring of 2021, Moscow and Minsk provoked a migration crisis. Since then, the Kremlin has been using it as a blackmail tool. Europe directly accused the Putin and Lukashenko regimes of bringing illegal immigrants from Iraq, Syria and Afghanistan to the border.
In our part of Europe today, the border is in the greatest danger, both because of the risk of a direct invasion, a direct attack by Russia, but also because of the obvious ongoing hybrid threat from Belarus. But, of course, there is also the possibility of a potential attack directly from Belarus, which is theoretically a separate, independent and sovereign state. But, as we know very well, the Belarusian regime is practically completely dominated by Moscow.
In mid-May, the U.S. National Intelligence Agency called Russia the most active foreign threat to the country's presidential election. At the end of June, The Times wrote that NATO suspects Russia of mining the EU's underwater infrastructure in the North Sea. Reported by Anastasia Tarnavska, Larisa Petruk, UATV News.